Noon. How we doing?
I'm great.
Good. All right.
Where's Shaq?
Well,
We were promised Shaq.
Oh, yeah.
He's with the audience.
it's really tough to go after Shaq, let's be honest.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And this is not about Allen Iverson, so it's not all basketball. This is different AI? Different AI.
I'm out.
All right. So, navigating AI, premium content, disruption, opportunity. We've got a lot of different perspectives up here. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves when they start answering questions. I'm Stein. I manage the Discuss Business unit here at Zeta. And let's kick it off. Let's start with marketing and partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? All of you, Josh.
All right. I
all
thought
of
we were
us.
introducing us. I didn't know what was going on here.
You can introduce yourself when you have, as we're talking.
All right.
We don't need to be so formal, do we? All right. Let's start with your points of view. I feel like Letterman with these cards up here. Yeah. What are your points of view on utilizing AI in ad tech to fuel unique, effective marketing for brand partners? Do you have any ideas on this? Jinx?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Joglekar. I run marketing for Dish and Sling with Echostar. So the way we think about using AI, so to back up a little bit, my role is really how do I acquire customers, how do I get subscribers, and bring them into our products. So we think a lot about using AI in a couple ways. One, how do we use AI to understand and better segment our first-party data, really so we can target the right customers, find them in the marketplace, and then how do we then use that targeting to build the right creative so that we can actually go and resonate with that audience. And what AI allows us to do on that front is build creative much more rapidly and much more dynamically than, say, static creative that might take one of our creative development guys to do like half a day. All of a sudden, we can build it in a matter of minutes.
Speed.
And efficiency.
It's the name of the game.
And
name
effectiveness.
Of the game. Okay. What about advancements? Like how, that's like speed is one piece of it, but what about improving targeting, things along those lines, or even different monetization methods, things like that?
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sure. Please. From a monetization.
Who are you?
I'm Josh Feldman. See, I blew it.
Yeah. Who are you?
Josh Feldman. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at NBCUniversal for the Advertising and Partnership Division. So monetization's right in our wheelhouse, obviously. And so we're trying to utilize AI in different ways. So a great example of how we're using it in new ways to monetize is we created something that we call Must Shop TV. And what that is simply is using AI to scan our programming to find items that are then available for sale. So for example, we have 9 different series available, but say Below Deck is one of our shows when it's running on Peacock. We're using AI, we're scanning the entire episode, and we're finding exact items or lookalike items. And then at the very end of the show, we do a commerce-enabled ad that is sponsored by Walmart, and then you are able to actually buy the exact items that you saw in that episode, right? So it's always been that holy grail of wanting to buy Jennifer Aniston's sweater and all of that.
Yeah.
And now that's come to life, right? Because we are able to find those exact items or up to 80% of a lookalike item, and you could buy them in real time. So we're rolling this out across multiple programming in our
So people watching this panel at home right now, because our shoe game up here is really good, they could find our shoes and buy them.
They can do it. They can scan it, absolutely, and buy it.
So Tarek, that's got to be exciting for you.
Yeah, I mean, as a real estate investor and as a house flipper, I'm looking for a needle in a haystack where, to be honest, prior to AI, you spend $1 million on marketing and you're crossing your fingers, right? So now with AI, you can actually identify the exact segment of the market that you want to market to. You can utilize AI to build you marketing lists and build campaigns. So instead of taking a shotgun approach and spending $1 million, you can now be hyper-focused and take more of a sniper approach and get to the client that you're really looking for.
So that's audience creation and curation. Cavell?
Yeah.
How are we leveraging at Group Black?
So, Cavell Khan, I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Group Black. I think the key in the question is effectiveness. I think a lot of what we've been doing with AI in these first couple of years is mostly focused on efficiency and understanding now that we can use the data we have and be much more effective in our marketing and tapping into ad tech, other technologies, what Josh talked about, is going to be the key to how we expand and are able to achieve success. Because now you can look and understand the consumer at such a level that we were never able to understand them before, and make sure that the content that you're putting in front of them, that Jing said, takes much quicker to make. So now you can have true hyper-personalization of content and having a deep understanding of the consumer at the same time to make sure that the right content is getting in front of the right consumer. And AI is what's unlocking a lot of that.
And Jinx, as a marketer, right guy, right time,
Yeah.
all of that. Tell us a little bit more. What about content creation for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I started when I was talking about it, and it really is about the right message at the right time to the right consumer. And so we do it really in two ways. One, we talked about the creative piece, but then what we're doing, and honestly, what we need to get better at, I think, as an industry, is how do we actually use AI and Gen AI to find segments for us and find the right targeting so that I don't have to say, oh, this is my persona and do some customer insight study to back into it. It's actually, no, based on the data we have, based on our first party data, married with third party data from wherever, from Zeta and others, how do we actually sub-segment that so that we can actually understand what that right creative is? And I think that's the journey we're on right now. Because creative is the easy part. I mean, you can all go on Midjourney now and go and put in a prompt. And if you don't do that with your kids, you should definitely do that with your kids. 'Cause that's like the funnest thing I can do and get my daughter into AI. But creative is only the first step. It's really the data piece is something that I don't think we've tapped enough in.
From the foundational layer.
That's right.
And then what about when it comes to like optimizations, like mid-flight? Does that speed come into effect at that time too?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, if you think about it, too many people are confusing AI with content creation as actually creating the content, right? And that's not necessarily the case, right? As content creators, I'm using AI to do exactly that, right? We're scanning the actual content, right, to see what emotional sort of moments happen scene by scene, right? And then we're using AI to create those audience segments that you were talking about, right? So we have created over 300 different audience segments. So now all of a sudden an RFP comes in and advertiser X wants to create a custom piece of content to accomplish this specific thing. We're able to take the AI and look at that audience segment to match up to who they're trying to reach as their audience, look at that emotional connection that it's gonna have with our actual content, and then create content that's gonna be contextually relevant to those scenes or to that programming. And then to your point, optimization, we can track that in real time as the flight goes on, right? So hopefully this isn't just a week-long flight, but if we're going for 6-8 weeks, we can use that AI data to optimize the creative in real time.
Okay, great.
And well, I want to say something about content because I am a content creator, multiple TV shows with my beautiful wife up here, and we're on social media as well. And we had this goal of creating these funny advertisement skits and TV commercials for our businesses. So we started sitting down with advertising companies, and we were getting estimates at $100,000 to write skits and help us shoot commercials. And we're going through this process and like, is it worth it or not? And then one day I heard about this thing called ChatGPT. And I said, hey, honey, why don't we just ask ChatGPT what we should do? So we asked the question. I'm Tariq El Moussa. My wife is Heather Ray El Moussa. We film HGTV shows. Can you create 10 funny skits that are gonna keep our audience engaged with the highest likelihood of going viral? Well, guess what happened? It shot out 10 funny skits, and guess what happened? We picked a couple of them, we filmed them, and one of them hit 23 million views. Oh. So we saved money. Yeah, it's pretty wild. We saved money, we saved time, and the entire thing cost $650.
The disruption angle is going to be wild for other businesses, for sure. But both of you, content house, content creator, name, image, and likeness, deep fakes, think about Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. We do need to have an ethical point of view on this, and we need to understand what that means as a viewer, let alone as content creators. Yep. So how are you tackling that in your businesses?
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's what we talk about internally a lot. I mean, again, my dream is I have a segment, the machine makes the segment, the creative that's being delivered is being put together in real time so that I don't have to get any hands on it, and it's maximized for effectiveness and efficiency and conversion. The problem is I don't know what that creative looks like. So then all of a sudden, and Josh on the NBC side and I are partners, we're a distributor below deck. All of a sudden I'm taking Josh's IP, on Below Deck and mangling it. And Josh is going to call me up and say, "What are you doing? Why am I?" Right, he will. He will. I've gotten that before.
Well, I'm not, but our lawyers.
So yeah,
are.
that's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's fair.
Right.
And so we got to be like right now. If you think about the hype cycle, like we're going to sit here and say creative is great, and we want all of this creative. It's super cheap. It's effective. But the hype cycle stops when we don't have the governance around it, and we don't have the ability to at scale review the kind of stuff we're putting out. And so, quite frankly, AI needs to help with that, and that's the things that we're working on internally.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of questions that we have to address, and as an industry, we have to find a way to, there needs to be some guardrails around it, right?
Yep.
We're just coming off of a huge technology. You look at social media and the wall gardens and the impact of what it is, and what it started out as and where it ended was two very different places. There are always unintended impact when you have new technology. And so as we look at AI, you have to think about things, some of what Jinx just talked about, but even underrepresented communities, how do they get impacted by AI? I've seen even on the content creation side, well, now instead of hiring someone from different communities that would be a meaningful job for them, is AI now going to create all these different ads that have all these different folks, and no one's actually getting paid from that? And so we really have to think about the impact of what we're doing, and I think we've already learned lots of lessons coming out of the technologies that we just had to say, let's make sure we don't make those same mistakes again. But it's a huge effort that all of us in the industry have to think about and create standards around. And it might even involve, government needs to be involved in it to regulate.
For sure, again, this could look like, Tarek, what are you going to say?
Well, I was going to say I totally agree. I mean, with especially the deepfake technology, I mean, I can make a digital version of myself that looks like me, sounds like me, moves like me, but it's not me, and that me can say anything it wants. So I think regulation and setting certain guidelines is going to be very, very important. I think the government probably will have to get involved just to make sure that the American public is well taken care of.
But it could also mean that you might be able to create 3 different shows at the same time.
Oh, I'm hoping.
That's your end
I'm
goal.
all for it. I'm
Right.
trying to create 10 of me. I just want to do it the right way.
Right.
Absolutely right. It's
My
cloning.
wife wouldn't like it, but I would like it.
You just want anyone else to create 10 of you.
Yeah,
That's the real key.
exactly.
But I think the question really is, what do we think it looks like for a consumer, though? Do we think it's going to be like the explicit lyrics that was on NWA? Do we think it's going to be a watermark on images? How are we going to know that that's really Harrison Ford?
Well, look, for our consumers, it's all about building trust, right? And we're a company, NBC's about to celebrate its 100th anniversary next year. Our trust is built on our talent, our IP, whether that's news talent or entertainment talent or even reality talent, doesn't really make a difference. So we know that when we create any content and it features our IP and our talent, there's gonna be a certain level of trust there. And like I said, earlier, people keep confusing AI with just making the content, and we're not doing that.
Create.
That's not what
Exactly.
my team is doing.
That's right.
So there's crazy advancements. This stuff is moving really fast. We need guardrails. But what about when it comes to personalization? How has AI helped you with personalization for viewers, as a marketer, et cetera?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell a quick story. So I did a book signing today for my book, Flip Your Life. If anybody got a signed copy, that was fun. And I had this crazy idea to send my book to people that were selling houses above $5 million across the United States as a gift for their closing, and maybe they want to partner with me to buy some real estate. So I was looking for accredited investors. So I was thinking, well, who should I send this book to? And I said, who's going to know the answer, that ChatGPT thing. So I asked ChatGPT, where am I going to find most of the viewers that are accredited investors that most likely watch Tarek El Moussa's show? Can you list the top 10 markets? So they listed the 10 markets. So I sent it to my team, and they're like, okay, great. We're going to do research, and we're going to come back. It's going to take a couple weeks. We're going to get the zip codes. And I went to ChatGPT. I said, can you actually give me the zip codes? It gave me all of the zip codes. So within a matter of seconds, I was able to build an entire customized personal campaign going after people selling their houses in markets of people that are most likely to know who I am, that are also accredited investors. So all that happened within seconds because of AI. So for me, that's a game changer.
Wow.
And Jinx, have you been able to convert more audiences because of this, or engage with different audiences because of this? What about you, Cavell?
Yeah.
I'm gonna Jinx.
Yeah. So for us, it's a big thing, not only in the merchandising and what we do up front, but also in the product. We're a streaming app. We deliver content. Recommendation is key. And we have a mantra at Dish and Sling, which is the product has to match the promise. right? And the promise is what I'm merchandising in my social ads. It's what I'm merchandising, in digital ads, what I'm merchandising on the site. And the product is obviously what you're consuming. And so what we do is we try to pick up signals along the way of what you want. So are you an NFL customer? Are you a below deck customer? Are you a college football customer? Based on what you do outside of our site, then we will target and tailor that message to you as you come to sling.com, for example. But then the real key is, okay, so I really like below deck. I saw that creative, and it was dynamically created. I came to site. We knew that you saw that ad, so some signal about you said that, and so now we're going to show you below deck creative. When I go into the app, the connection of I like below deck, so that's the first thing I see in the app, and then everything recommended to me is reality content or AI-driven content that is related and that other viewers like is so key for that promise that I started up here and very high in the funnel to be matching the product, which is in the usage.
Okay, now let's go back to trust based on that. How can you trust the data that you're getting? Like the zip codes example, that's easy to verify. Type in your address now, ask them what the zip code is, you'll know if it's right or if it's wrong. Great, moving on. But how do you AI algorithms and bias? How do you trust it?
Well, I think there's already systems in place for that, right? Like in any new technology and anything we do, you sort of always have to trust but verify, right? And so I think it's not a set it and forget it. I think when you look at technology, when you look at AI and even what you're doing, you have to look at, okay, what is the thesis? What do we think is happening? And then there's some manual work to say, okay, let's test it and see if it's accurate. And I think that's a continuous cycle. And so we're going to identify, there's always going to be sort of, red flags that come out when you're doing anything. Nothing is perfect. No technology is perfect. And so as long as we continue to say, let's test things and then test and reset and optimize, I think we will get through this. I mean, that's something that we've done before, and you'll be able to identify where AI maybe is reading the wrong thing. Because again, it's still signals and data and patterns that it's looking at, right? So you have to really understand, okay, is it reading the right data and giving the right output based on our thesis? And you can create tests that can demonstrate whether or not you're getting a positive or a negative, and then from there, be able to optimize around that. So I think that's a key part of it, and that's going to be a continual thing that we're doing as we evolve.
Yeah, for us, I don't want to oversimplify it, but the AI, the way we're using it, we're scanning our own first-party data, right? So that's why we trust it, right? We know it's our first-party data. We've created a database of 200 million unique IDs, over 90 million households, right? So we know we're getting this information if you're buying a movie ticket on Fandango, or if you're visiting Universal theme parks, or if you're a Peacock subscriber, right? This is all really credible first-party data. So we're using AI specifically to scan that.
So the foundation is yours. You trust it. That's why.
Yeah.
Right on. So now, are there new jobs being created in your organization because of this?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think the way we think about it is, one, how does it improve our speed to market and our ability to create? How do we think about it from which is a function, a job of governance? And then how do we, back to the trust but verify, we're not in a stage where we can completely trust AI to verify, so we have to also do our own QA. So that's the kind of way we think about it. I mean, for me, the best example of this, and the most tangible maybe for marketers in the room, is when AI ChatGPT comes out, the copywriters are flipping out. They're like, oh my God, this is going to take our jobs. Like, what's happening? And I did literally sit the team down and say, we're marketers. Our job is to write a brief. Like, we have to write the best brief we can, and that brief should convey exactly what we want. What better tool than, say, ChatGPT to hone our brief writing? And then, again, the role isn't, I have to make something overly complex or I have to worry about the copywriter piece. The goal now is writing the tightest brief you can to get an AI to develop creative, to your point, that's cheaper, more effective, and quicker.
Yeah, I think for us it's less about new jobs, but it's more about effectiveness and productivity, right? We're a startup, so we're not going to create new jobs in AI. But I think there was a study that Forbes did that said 64% of companies see significant improvement in productivity by leveraging AI, right, and throughout it. And so we've seen teams that used to take days to do a task, like, we're doing marketing campaigns and we have to send out recaps and we're making sort of video edits or sizzle reels. That has gone from taking days to taking hours, right?
Yep.
So for a startup, that's a significant improvement in productivity that technology is now leveling the playing field for. And that's what's exciting about it, that it gives a lot of us opportunity to do things at the level of an NBC and with their capability and scale.
So maybe not new jobs. What about new revenue streams?
100%. 100%. There's new revenue streams that can be created. When we look at, we operate in three places. It's media, it's content and creators, and it's in IRL and experiences. Especially in the content creator space, the things that we can do now for clients are unlocking revenue that I would have to have built an entire new creative team department in order to do it. Now we can have a small team building creative on behalf of our brands that's bespoke to the audience they want to reach. That's not something we would have been able to do, even 5 years ago if we didn't have the sort of technology that we're able to use and partner with our talent to be able to do that.
Yeah. So let's go back for a second to the doomsday, hey, we need the police to someone to do this, right? We need someone to monitor this. There needs to be a governing body that making sure that we're doing things ethically, that, again, the bias considerations come into play. But as an industry, when it comes to marketers, content creators, what are you most concerned about right now as it comes to applications of AI in your business?
More people learning about it faster than me. I'm just
Absolutely.
Honestly, it comes down to transparency and knowing if what you're watching or listening to is real or not. And I think that's a big fear for the general public today, especially with all the talks of everything going on, not knowing what they can or cannot trust. So I think a verification process or some type of a process that lets the public know whether they are actually watching a deepfake technology or a human being, I think that stuff's gonna be very important.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. We've only got a couple of minutes here. Let's talk about the future. And again, the speed of this has been wild. A year ago, everyone was still just plugging things in. Now, you got cat memes that are generated in a matter of seconds, just based on what someone says in one debate. It's crazy. So as we look ahead, what are the most exciting opportunities when you look at applications of AI for your jobs?
I think you just said the word. It's speed, right? It's being able to get to a certain point faster. It's being able to get better output from that faster. It's being able to see results on the back end faster, right? It increases the speed of your front end, and it increases the speed of showing your results on the back end. So to me, the future is all about that. You talk about new revenue streams. It's also enhancing your current revenue streams because you're able to do it that much faster and that much more efficient. And I think that's truly what the future of AI will be, for us.
As we move forward.
Yeah.
What about you, Jinx?
Yeah, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think right now, like a year ago, you're right. Like I was literally in board meetings, and we're like, everyone bring out ChatGPT and start typing in. Like that's like the epitome of the hype cycle, right? We don't know what we're using it. We don't know why we're using it. We don't know what you're using it for, but it's cool, and we think we're gonna do something great with it. Now, when I talk to companies in my industry and also smaller companies, startups, the idea of governance and wait a minute, what are we putting in the marketplace, and do we believe it? Is it resonant of our brand? That's the biggest concern. And so I think right now, getting through that is going to be, okay, how do we bring in better data? Garbage in is garbage out, right? We all know that. Yep. So the data, how do we think about clean source data, first-party data, to your point, Josh, that we can actually action off of, and then, again, build segments in real time, build custom models in real time, and take the power that's really sitting in tech companies, Google, Meta, whatever, and bringing it in-house and doing it with our own data.
Yeah.
I think it's going to change generations. I think about myself, and my superpower is I'm a creative. I'm always thinking. My mind's always going. But it's also my biggest demise because it's always going, and there's too many thoughts. And for people like me, we can take this idea that's going in our head 1,000,000 miles an hour, we can plug it into ChatGPT, and within seconds, we have a clear, concise plan. And for people like me, that's the hardest thing to write out or get is the actual plan. So I believe, AI and ChatGPT is going to be the world's greatest assistant to people that need help organizing their thoughts, ideas, and actually taking action.
Great.
For me, it's, and I said it before, it's hyper-personalization at scale. And scale is the key thing there. I've never seen an ad so far that shows someone that looks like me with 2 kids who live in Brooklyn. And I guarantee you if an advertiser put that in front of me as the ad copy, I would convert at a lot higher rate. And so now we have the capability because, again, Zeta has 1 trillion data points, right? And they probably know all those things I just said about me. And so imagine taking that data, layering it with the right creative that's going to have the most cultural relevance to me or to whoever is looking at it. That's going to significantly improve the effectiveness and efficiency for marketers when they're trying to convert and reach the right consumer. And so we haven't had the power to do that before, and I think that's, when you talk about the future and where we really can go, I think that's what AI is going to unlock for us.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful message, to be able to give you that personalization at that scale so that you get better results as a marketer and you spend more time on it as a consumer. Well, let's give these guys a hand. They've done a great job today. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you. Good job.
And our next session is Next Generation Creative.